This is Marklesburg, Pennsylvania, population 205. This is the Plains, Virginia, population 217. This is Blackwater, Missouri, population 128. And this is Vernon, California, population 222. Notice anything different about Vernon? That's right, it's in California. And those other ones were in other states. Also, it's home to 1,800 businesses that employ about 55,000 people. Here's a number. The property that houses these businesses is worth about $4.1 billion, which coincidentally gives Vernon, California a $4.1 billion property base on which to collect property taxes. There's another number. Vernon also takes in about $250 million annually just in the power and other city-owned utilities they provide to businesses. Put those numbers together, and you're probably realizing that a city with a population less than a semi-crowded cheesecake factory is bringing a few $100 million a year in taxes, which likely leads you to the question, where does all that money go? To answer that question, let me introduce you to a man named John B. Leonis. John is dead right now, and has been being dead for about 70 years, but before he was dead, he turned Vernon, California into what it is today. You see, what's now Vernon, California was once a beautiful, bucolic farmland community inhabited by a modest number of families living the kind of simple, bucolic lives where you don't need to know what the word bucolic means. That is, until John B. Leonis showed up in the late 19th century, realized that 3 major railroads ran through the area, then rubbed his hands together like a cartoon villain and said, how can I ruin all of this while making a preposterous sum of money? So he bought up as much land as he could and, with a few partners, incorporated the area into the town of Vernon, where he promptly installed himself and his cronies as the board of trustees for the city and essentially ran it as his own personal fiefdom for the next 50 years. Leonis started by transforming Vernon into what he called a sporting town, opening attractions like a baseball stadium, a 7,000-seat boxing arena, and a 100-foot-long world's longest bar. And if you're thinking, those sound like things that would attract the worst kind of people in the world, that was exactly the point. All the big business boys who traveled to Vernon to watch events like the World Boxing Championships would end up getting sweet-talked by Leonis into building their West Coast factories in Vernon, and many companies, including Studebaker, Alcoa, and Owens-Williams, did just that, bringing their tax dollars with them. All the while, the Board of Trustees, which Leonis ran, straight up refused to hold the elections they were supposed to hold, and when lawsuits eventually forced them to, let's just say they found ways of influencing the few dozen people who technically had voting rights in the town. You see, Vernon has, for over a century, operated by a simple mathematical formula: limit population to maximize corruption. For most of its existence, the government has owned almost all of the city's extremely limited housing supply, which means they're essentially able to control who lives in the town, and thus who votes in the town, which they ensure is pretty much exclusively city employees, as in people who are paid by the people looking for their votes. And if you're thinking that this is just another story of old-timey corruption, think again. It's actually a story of very new-timey corruption as well. Because, you see, when John B. Leonis died, he left his estate to his grandson, Leonis Malberg, who would go on to become mayor of Vernon for 35 years, continuing his family's proud legacy of being the worst. In 2006, a group of people tried moving to Vernon to contest local elections, which hadn't been competitive in over 2 decades, and when the city found out what they were doing, they shut off their power and tried to have them evicted. An electoral tactic so brilliant and innovative, it makes you wonder if it's legal. It isn't, but we have to move on because none of this answers the question you wanted answered. What about the money? Well, it's basically just handed out to anyone who's in the good graces of the city government, which includes, most of all, the people in the city government. Take Bruce V. Malkenhorst, for example. At one point, he was simultaneously Vernon's city manager, finance director, city clerk, redevelopment director, treasurer, and chief of light and power. He once had the highest salary of any public official in California, and to this day, he receives the biggest pension of any California government retiree. And he's just one example. A lawyer named Eric Freisch was paid $7.5 million by the city in salary and fees over a 5-year period for doing work that nobody seems to be able to account for. I could go on listing the names of old white dudes who get stupidly huge payouts, but come on, this isn't Shark Tank. Much like the US men's national soccer team though, things in Vernon are very slowly, painstakingly getting a little better. In 2009, the 26-year mayor, Leonis Malberg, was arrested on corruption charges that also, hilariously, involved the revelation that he didn't even live in Vernon, and in 2011, the state of California attempted to disincorporate Vernon and have it absorbed into Los Angeles. Unfortunately, it turns out that the city government, whose whole thing is that it has too much money, is able to hire some pretty high-powered lawyers who were able to kill the attempt, but Vernon was forced to nearly double its population by building apartment complexes, which has reduced the city government's ability to manipulate its voting pool. Now Vernon is actually only the second smallest town in California by population, getting beaten out by Amador City, which means that, much like Vernon, the title of this video was actually just a fraudulent scheme designed to line my own corrupt pockets. Speaking of lining my pockets, this video was made possible by Nebula, and yeah, I know you know what Nebula is by now, unless this is the first ever educational video you've ever watched. But Nebula has improved and grown a ton since you probably first heard about it. It's now home to a hand-picked, curated group of more than 100 of the best creators out there who are publishing all the stuff they normally do on YouTube, but early and without ads or sponsorships. We're also making loads of Nebula exclusive content. The paywall nature of the platform allows us to make even bigger and higher budget stuff than we can on here, so it's the stuff you already like, but better. For example, just our team makes all these Nebula originals, and then there are loads of others doing the same. Chances are, if you're an HAI fan, a huge chunk of the creators you already watch on YouTube are also on Nebula, where the viewing experience is just better. It's also a healthier platform for all involved. There's no algorithm fighting for your attention by distracting you with meaningless clickbait, and for us creators, we get a portion of your monthly subscription fee for as long as you stay subscribed, which provides us a much more stable monthly income than what an ad-supported platform like YouTube can. Nebula was founded by and is owned by creators, so if you want to see what it's like when the creators run the distribution platform, this is your chance. Sign up for 20% off by clicking the button on screen or heading to nebula.tv/HAI, and truly, thanks in advance for your support. It genuinely is incredibly appreciated and goes a long way towards allowing us to make bigger and better videos.